If you are feeling fatigued or lacking the basic energy to get through your day and feel excited and creative and energized to move through your life, this is the episode for you. I have 4 super quick, practical, science-backed tips to actually maximize your energy so that you're not guzzling caffeine, crashing in the afternoon, and overall just feeling like a shadow of the potential that you could be. Vivacious, the art and science of living fully, vibrantly, waking up with exuberant energy, an enchantment for life, connection to nature, childlike wonder, feeling overwhelmingly good in your gut, in your body, experiencing the full range of human existence, overflowing with ideas, confidence, authenticity, being outside and healthy and alive. Not this numb, sick, synthetic modern status quo that has leached humanity of our vital wildlife force. Tell me, are you just living or are you fully alive? Welcome back to Vivacious, the podcast, the art and science of living fully. I'm Logan Haley, a nature lover, holistic nutritionist, and author obsessed with maximizing my potential in the human body to live the most joyful, vibrant, energized life possible. And how can you do that if you are feeling sluggish every single day of your life? Well, 30 to 40 to 50% of people, depending on the studies you look at, are living with that mild to chronic fatigue on a daily basis. And the root causes of fatigue are not just that you're getting older or your energy stores have gone away. It's because your diet, lifestyle, and or habits are not allowing you to properly use your food as fuel to transform into energy that you can use to create, play, make money, take time for your family or your business or your passion projects. If you don't have the actual energy to do these things, how can you ever reach your maximum potential as a human being on earth? I want that for you. I want that for everybody. So let's just dig right into the reasons behind a lack of energy and 4 quick ways to fix it. So let's start with movement. We all know that everyone needs to be exercising more, but it's really fascinating to look at what's happening on the cellular level in your brain and in your body when you're not moving. It may seem counterintuitive to go exercise if you're feeling exhausted because you think that exercise expends more energy, but actually the opposite is true. When you just start moving your body, you are oxygenating and bringing blood flow to your brain and to all your extremities, which is sort of like an engine revving up that energetic zest. So for example, in the afternoon, if you're feeling a crash after you just guzzled a bunch of caffeine and went through your work day or whatever you're doing, and you cannot seem to stay awake after lunch, a big, easy solution for that is simply taking a walk, doing some squats, moving your body in any way possible to oxygenate your blood. Okay, so many people are not able to think straight because their brain is not getting enough blood and oxygen because they are living a completely sedentary life. But hopefully that is pretty obvious to most people. One thing I wanted to note is I recently started jumping on a trampoline a lot and jumping around more in general, which is not only really fun for cultivating that inner child excitement, but it is also proven to add even more oxygen to your blood than running or jogging. So when you're rebounding, like jumping on a trampoline, it flushes the toxins out of your lymphatic system as you move up and down, and it also oxygenates all those cells way more efficiently than simply running or jogging or even power walking. So if you have a trampoline, might be a fun thing to jump on for a little more energy in the day. Now, when we are talking about energy, we can all go back to 8th grade biology when you learned about the powerhouse of the cell, the mitochondria. Mitochondrial health is a huge topic in the holistic wellness space currently, and I want to do an episode fully focusing on mitochondria, but they are really the hub of where all energy production happens in your body. Okay, you have food coming in through your digestive tract. And as all those nutrients and minerals are extracted in the small and large intestine, the mitochondria inside all of your cells are transforming food energy into ATP, adenosine triphosphate. And ATP is the number one fuel source for every single activity in your body, everything from breathing to pumping blood to moving your muscles to thinking, etc. And so with a lack of mitochondrial function, there is a lack of ATP production, which means your cells are not maximizing their capacity to turn the food you're eating into fuel. So if you want to stimulate more mitochondrial production, you need to exert yourself. You need to move to a point where it is difficult to breathe and to continue going, where your muscles ache and you are actually in a full state of exertion. Obviously, our ancestors were moving for thousands and thousands of years, and the advent of sedentary lifestyles is completely recent in the past few decades. And it is absurd to think that a supplement or a medication or even a dietary change is going to shift your energy levels if you're not willing to move. And while we're on that topic, when I said exertion and I talked about difficulty, doing something hard, I have been thinking so much lately about the misconception of what, quote, hard is. Okay, when I tell people that I live a grain-free and sugar-free life, they think, oh, that must be so hard. I could never do that. And it being difficult has really never been a part of my paradigm. It's our definition of hard or difficult things has really been watered down in modern society, where everyone is living in this constant state of plush comfort, of just being cradled in this perfect, steady temperature level in their homes, having everything delivered to them and given to them, and not really having to work and do the difficult things that our ancestors did that made them strong and robust human beings. So when you're thinking about something being hard, for example, a diet or lifestyle change, think about if you want to live in a state of comfort forever. Is it harder to stay fatigued and overweight and not maximizing your potential and not having time to play with your children or follow your passion projects? Or is it harder to just learn some new recipes and cook a little bit? Clearly, it's way easier to make the change now so that your life can actually be easier later. And so there's a general quote I see all the time that's choose your hard. And I really love that philosophy, particularly related to energy. If you want to have more energy tomorrow, choose your hard today. Exert yourself. Okay. Number 2, of course, sleep. You can't talk about energy without talking about sleep. And so many people think, oh, I'm getting 8 hours of sleep a day, but they still don't have any energy. And that's because their sleep quality is really low. So first, quick and easy thing, make your room colder at night. You should not be keeping your home at a steady 70 degrees throughout the entire night, or 72 or even warmer that so many people do. Think about when our ancestors were living outside and when you're camping, it's always colder at night. The sun goes down. Our bodies are meant to go into a cooler state of rest while sleeping. So if it is excessively warm in your home, in your bed, while you're sleeping, you are automatically compromising your quality of sleep. Number 2 is the circadian rhythm. So I'm obsessed with circadian rhythms. I do everything to maximize them. If you're not familiar, your circadian rhythm is your biological clock. It is mostly controlled in your pineal gland, which is located in your brain and is responsible for processing light. Okay, light is the number one thing that impacts your circadian rhythm. Again, because we have evolved for tens of thousands of years to be out under the sun and live with the natural clock of nature, of sun rising and sunset. So if you are being exposed to super bright light in the middle of the night, right before you go to sleep, it is automatically going to disrupt your circadian rhythm. In fact, blue light, which we all hear about blue light as related to devices, which is obviously the most harmful source of blue light in the modern day at night in particular. But we also must keep in mind that just really bright light in general at night is going to harm your ability to go to sleep and stay asleep and move into those deeper levels of deep sleep and REM, which I'll talk about in a minute. So at night, before you're going to sleep, a couple hours before you plan to get in bed, you need to dim the lights in your home. If you can switch to red lights, that is one of the most ideal things you can do, dim red lights, because red light mimics the light of the sunset and of the moon. So again, if you imagine that you were out camping, you wouldn't have a very bright light past dark unless it was moonlight or fire, both of which emit red light. But when we have super bright blue light, such as incandescent bulbs or TVs or phone screens, hitting our eyes at night, that is directly shutting off melatonin. You're probably familiar with melatonin. It's the hormone that regulates sleep. When you have higher amounts of melatonin, it makes you sleepy and it makes you go to sleep. And when you're lacking melatonin, it disrupts your sleep and makes it difficult to actually stay asleep throughout the night. So a lot of people take melatonin supplements, which I highly do not recommend. If you've listened to neuroscientist Andrew Huberman's podcast, The Huberman Lab, he has a whole episode about melatonin and the extremely harmful effects of overdosing that melatonin supplement, because that's literally exogenous hormones coming from outside of your body, altering your circadian rhythm and altering how your brain functions. You don't need a pill. You literally just need to make sure you don't look at bright lights for about 2 hours before bed. It's so easy to shift your lighting, use dimmer lighting, turn off your overhead lights, add some night lights in, and don't look at screens. If you must look at a screen, use blue blocker glasses. So, since we're talking about how bright light turns off melatonin production, that moves into the next best way to regulate your circadian rhythm and have more energy in the morning. So, if you don't want to rely on caffeine, which let me tell you, it's extremely liberating to not rely on caffeine for your energy in the morning, to just wake up and feel fully alive and ready to go and inspired for the day. That is what I have achieved personally since I simply started watching the sunrises. And the sunrise is loaded with quality amounts of red light and blue light. And that morning light particularly triggers that pineal gland, shuts off melatonin production, and boom, you're alert and you're awake. And I've even found, from a more shallow beauty perspective, when I look at morning light, I don't have bags under my eyes throughout the day. And when I used to wake up and just like be indoors and even only have the lights on inside my van, I wouldn't have that effect. I would still be sluggish and have like bags under my eyes and not feel fully energized. But if you wake up and you straight away see that morning light in your eyes for as long as possible, preferably a morning walk, 15 to 20 minutes would be awesome. But even if you just get 5 minutes of going outside, not through a window, you need the full lumens, the full effect of the sun hitting your eyelids. That is going to trigger melatonin production to stop, and it's going to rev up your whole system so that you can stay alert and awake throughout the day. And that in turn is going to make you have better sleep the following night. You can rewire your circadian rhythm in literally less than a week if you just start following the basics of seeing morning light. Even if you miss the sunrise, just get that morning light within 10-15 minutes of waking up, and then turning off those devices about an hour or two before bed and dimming the lights in your home. Okay, number 3, let's dig into blood sugar. So, another huge reason that people crash in the afternoon is actually not just related to caffeine, it's related to blood sugar dysregulation. So when you think of blood sugar, a lot of people instantly think of diabetes, but blood sugar regulation is vitally important for every human being, regardless of any diagnosis or dysregulation with insulin. The thing is, blood sugar directly affects how glucose is being broken down and transformed into ATP and being released into your bloodstream. So if your blood sugar is going through these huge peaks and crashes throughout the day, you are going to have no energy and you're not going to be able to think straight. And guess what the number one absolute worst thing that you can do for your blood sugar? And it's probably what 95% of Americans do every single morning. They wake up and they have an empty stomach, and the first thing they do is eat something sweet. If you eat sugar on an empty stomach, or easily processed carbs, refined carbs like white bread, rice, pastries, etc., if you eat those first thing in the morning, you are setting yourself up for a day of sluggishness, fatigue, and a lack of brain function. And let me explain why. The first thing that you eat in the morning on an empty stomach is going to regulate how much glucose is released into your blood throughout the day, which affects how your pancreas is going to release insulin. If your pancreas is working on overtime to release insulin to try to bring down your blood glucose levels, you're creating these huge fluctuations in the amount of energy that you have, typically relating in a mega afternoon crash where you just can't think straight, you want to fall asleep, and it makes it really hard to continue on with your day. A lot of people reach for another thing of coffee or another quick carbohydrate. So if we back up, the molecular thing that's happening here is carbohydrates and sugar quickly transform into glucose. In other words, they move through your body extremely rapidly, meaning they give you energy super quickly. That may sound like a good thing. Yeah, if you were crashing and like about to pass out, yeah, if you ate some Skittles, I'm sure it would rev you back up because you're getting this instant sugar. It's like an instant shot of energy that your body can process really quickly. The problem with that is it doesn't provide any long-term energy and the crash comes shortly after. So if you want to stop these huge peaks and dips, and if you're not watching on the screen, you can see I'm drawing like a big wave with my finger. And that's what most people's blood sugar looks like throughout the day, because they start off with a sweet pastry in the morning, maybe mid-afternoon they eat some chips or a snack. For lunch, they have like a low protein, carb heavy meal, and then by afternoon they're practically asleep and they can't even think straight. So half the population is not even maximizing their most fundamental basic potential of brain function, of thinking clearly, because they are not eating enough proteins and fats and they're relying on these quick forms of glucose in the form of white bread, pasta, sugar, pastries, caffeine, etc., fruit juice. Okay, also have to go into a tangent on fruit juice. Drinking fruit juice first thing in the morning, terrible idea. You might as well eat a candy bar, okay? Because that is going to process in your blood the exact same way as a mega dose of sugar. Again, you have an empty stomach, you don't have anything in your digestive tract to slow down these molecules and actually gradually release that glucose into your bloodstream. So if you're drinking a fruit juice and doing a juice cleanse, which I cannot believe that juice cleanses are still promoted as a sort of healthy, quote, diet or detox cleanse, when really you need to be eating meat. You need to be eating high protein meat first thing in the morning. If you don't eat meat, at least eggs. But if you're not eating meat and you don't have energy, you just need to rewind and start right there. And I can do a whole episode on that. I used to be a vegan. I had this whole vegetarian journey and it woke me up to the absolute insanity of the marketing of plant-based diets and why so many people are sick and sluggish and they can't think straight. It's because they don't eat meat and they've been told that eating meat destroys the environment and destroys their health and all this BS that is so completely backwards. You need to eat meat first thing in the morning. Eat a lot of meat. Eat a lot of eggs. Eat a lot of fat. Healthy animal fat, not vegetable oils. Okay? Not carbs. So if you want to have more energy, it really starts waking up and eating a lot of eggs, grass-fed butter, grass-fed meat, wild game, sausage, whatever you need that is high protein and high fat. And so those molecules are going to move slowly through your body, providing this gradual, easygoing release of glucose into the bloodstream. And guess what that means? That means the peaks and troughs of your blood sugar are a much smaller wave. So you're not getting this mega energy boost and this mega crash. You're having steady energy levels throughout the day. So by the time mid-morning, lunch comes around, you eat more protein, more healthy fats, then you can have a little bit of carbs. No big deal. But if you're eating carbs and relying them as your only quick source of energy, you're not going to have long-lasting energy and long-lasting brain function. By the way, I'm obsessed with eating healthy fats because your brain is made of 60% fat. So if you don't feel fully like yourself and fully like you can think and talk and create ideas and make things happen and come up with innovative solutions in your daily life, in your job, in your business, why don't you check on your fat intake? Because your brain requires all of these fats to continue functioning at the maximum level. Every cell in your body is actually encased in a layer of fat called the phospholipid bilayer, 2 layers of fat. And if you're eating these low quality vegetable oils, canola oil, margarine, soy, all of your cells are being encased in that and it's literally slowing you down. It's sluggish. Your body is not able to properly process it because again, it's been invented within the last 100 years in the industrial food system. None of these fake quote vegetable oils and synthetic seed oils ever existed before the Industrial Revolution. So if we go back to our primal traditional foods of lots of butter, lots of olive oil, lots of beef tallow, lard, those are the most easily processed forms of fats and the fats that are going to make your brain just supercharged and energized and help you to think clearly and enhance your cognitive function so you can be more successful in the world and just be a heck of a lot happier. Last but not least, those fats are going to regulate your blood sugar. And if you're still eating grains and gluten, that's your decision. I don't recommend it. and I'll do another episode on that as well. But if you're still eating them, at the very least, eat the protein first. The first thing into your system after you've been sleeping or going a period of hours between meals, the first thing into your digestive tract is going to affect how your blood sugar stays steady. Fat and protein first, always. And while we're on the topic, let's talk about the refined grains that I'm specifically referring to that you want to avoid if you want more energy levels. Okay, sugar, bread, high fructose corn syrup, obviously, sodas and all that crap, pasta, fruit juice, like I mentioned. Fruit juice can be really good for you for if you want all those vitamins in your body, but it's a fruit that has been processed and removed. The fiber has been removed from it. Fiber is similar to protein and fat. It slows things down going into your body. So if you're drinking a fruit juice that has no fiber, it's just this instant insulin spike. You're literally like eating a candy bar. So don't eat fruit juice on an empty stomach, and don't even drink it as your appetizer in a meal. Think of it as a dessert if you want to drink fruit juice and even drink smoothies. And then of course, candy and pastries. I wouldn't eat any of these things if I wanted to maximize my energy, which is what I have done. But again, small changes, if that's what you need, make sure that you just have that protein and fat. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground, and I have so many more things I want to discuss with you guys. If you have any questions or comments or ideas about what we've talked about in this podcast, feel free to message me on Instagram at naturallylogan or email me loganhaley@icloud.com. I'll have a bunch of resources and info in the description below. And in summary, remember, if you want to have more energy, regulate your blood sugar by eating protein and fat first. Regulate your circadian rhythm by getting morning sunlight in your eyes and reducing really bright artificial light in the evening. And be sure to move so you can get blood flow and fully exert your body so you can oxygenate your blood and oxygenate your brain and feel fully alive. Thanks for joining me on Vivacious, the podcast, and I'll see you guys next time.